Hey there guys, hope you're all staying safe. My name is Clemento Sweede from DTech, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to generate a PDF using Node.js. If that sounds exciting to you, leave a like, leave a comment, and let us get at this right now. Okay, so in the beginning of the video I said we're going to be using Node.js, so you should at least have some experience with JavaScript and Node.js to an extent, right? Not too much experience, just a little bit of experience, right? And also, you should also have Node.js and npm installed, goes without saying. And to have those installed, you need to go to nodejs.org and download either version is fine, right? Either the 14.15 or the 15.1, whatever version is fine. Just do that and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so now I'm starting in a blank slate. Not too blank, I've already installed the major package here, which is the PDF Creator Node, it's called, right? PDF Creator Node. That's the package name, right? And to install that package, what we need to do, before we even install the package, we need to start our Node.js project, right? To have our package.json. And to do that, we need to do npm init, right? I've already gone through this, so I do not need to do this anymore. I've already done that. And I have already installed my package here, which as you can see is called PDF Creator Node. So after you do the npm init and you go through all the prompts that come up after that, which you can just press enter through that. Just type in npm install save PDF Creator Node, right? And you should be good and everything should be all rosy and happy. Okay, you press enter and it will get installed in as a dependency, and then you can begin to use the PDF Creator Node package. When that is done, go onto server.js and we can start our coding, right? The first thing we want to do in server.js is we want to bring in our package, right? I'm going to call this PDF, const PDF equal to require. We're going to require the package PDF Creator Node. Also, I'm going to be bringing in a package that is a core module of Node.js called the FS or File System module, and this is going to be equal to require, you guessed it, FS. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what we want to do after this is we want to create the basically the arguments, right, that the PDF creator uses. So to do that, to create these arguments, we're going to create two variables here. The first one is called options, or you can call this whatever you want to call it. I am going to call it options, and this particular one, we're going to pass in just a few options, not too much. The first option is format, right? Well, we want to know what format we want to use for our PDF. You know, different pages have different office papers, if you want to call them that, have different formats. There's the A1, there's the A2, A3, or whatever. In this particular case, I'm going to call it, I'm going to make it the A4 format because that is the most popular one. Well, to the best of my knowledge. It's the one we usually use in offices and stuff like that, so that's why I choose to call it that. So the next option to this is the orientation. I'm going to type that in really quickly, orientation, and this is, I'm going to pass in the portrait orientation. You can pass in landscape or whatever you want at that point in time. I'm just going to leave it in as portrait and then go on ahead. I'm going to leave these two options like this, or maybe I'll just add one more, right? So this one is called the border, and the border is 10 millimeters, right, at the top and bottom and all around, I think. So that's the border of this PDF that we want to generate. For more options than this, you can look up this package on npm. There are many more options there, but I just want to do something really simple and quick so that we can all follow really quickly, right? That's cool to you, and that's cool to me. So the next thing I want to do is create another variable called the document variable, right? That's the next that I want to do. Before I even create this document variable, this package, PDF creator node, works with HTML templates. So I need to create a template file so that the PDF creator node package can work with that template and then dynamically create its own PDF uh, uh, from that, right? We need to create a template. And to do that, I'm going to create a template folder called template. And inside of this template folder, I'm going to create a file called template.html, real original. So in this template.html file, I'm just going to type in the exclamation mark, and I'm going to type in tab. And this right here is how we do this with VS Code. And oh, I didn't even say this. I'm using VS Code, as you can see. You can use any code editor of your choice. I choose to use VS Code because VS Code is really cool. It provides Emmet out of the box, and that is really cool to me. So yeah, I generated a HTML5 template easily. So here, the title, I'm going to call this PDF, right? We can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm going to keep it simple, call it PDF. For the body, I'm going to just create a H1 tag that says my first PDF, right? Gotta save that, and we have our template. Why do we need a template? Well, we need it because we need to generate our PDFs with it, right? And to read our template into memory, into our server.js, we use the fs module. That's why we brought it in, to read our template file. So I'm just going to call this file, I'm going to call this template, right? And this will be equal to fs, which is used to read, delete, write files, right? Dot read file sync. This will read the file synchronously, right? And where is this file? This file is in the template folder, and the file is called template.html, right? And don't forget to pass in the second argument of this read file sync function, which is the UTF-8, to make it in a human readable format, right? Otherwise, this will error out in a really bad way, trust me. So we have our template here. We can create our document variable, right? Just so you know why we're doing this, in the end, we'll have something like this, pdf.create, and pdf.create takes in two options, the document and the options, right? So this is why we're creating a document and an options variable here. For the document will take in, the first thing it takes in is a template, and the first argument here is HTML, and this will be template. Or to make this look a little better, you can just call this HTML or whatever, but I'm going to leave it like this. I'm not going to change the name. I'm going to leave it like template because I feel this is more explanatory. We are getting a template, right, from a template folder. Cool. Let's go on ahead. The next thing that we need to add to this document argument is we need to add data. And this is used to pass in any dynamic data that we need to pass in here. The first dynamic data we need is, we can pass in anything here. There's nothing we really need, to be honest, but let me just pass in a simple one here called message. And this message, I'm just going to call this dynamic message, right? Real original, right? Dynamic message. Cool. So the final key value pair here is the path, and we need to create a path to store this PDF in our file system, right? So to do that, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this PDFs. I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to stick with it. PDFs, and inside here will be PDF dot. No, we don't create anything inside here. Forget about that. This is a folder where we store our PDFs generated by our PDF creator node package, right? And to do that, uh, I'm just going to call this /PDF / I'm going to call this file PDF, or my new PDF, then .pdf. Do not forget the extension. It's really important, right? So we have all this ready to shoot now, right? So if you hover over this create function for this PDF creator node, you can see that it returns a promise. It returns a promise, meaning that we can tack on the .then method to it, because it doesn't happen, this create function doesn't happen immediately. It happens after some time that we do not know, that our program does not know out of the bat. So we need to listen for that time where it gets resolved, where it gets completed. So we add in a .then method, then we pass in a callback function in here, which takes in the response as an argument, and we can just console.log that. We don't need to do anything when it resolves. Let's just see that it's successful, right? And if there's an error, we tack on a .catch here, so we can catch that error. So console.log the error, right? And we should be all good to go with this, right? You can see how small this is, just 26 lines of code. Really small. All right, so let's us get this going. So I just need to say node server to run this server, and let's see what happens. Success. So you can see that it's been saved. Let's see whether we at least get our PDF here. Right now we're not passing in any dynamic message. Let's just come in here. I'm going to copy this path by right clicking and clicking on copy path, and I'm going to paste this in here. Paste it in here, and voila, we have the PDF here. See my first PDF, it's been created, everything is all fine. And now to make this a little bit interesting, I'm going to pass in my dynamic message here in a H2 tag. I'm going to pass in the dynamic message, if I can speak English, the dynamic message. And you can see I call this message here, but it can really be anything you want to pass in there. It can be, I don't know, dogs, cars, right? Anything. But I'm going to stick with my message here, and I'm going to pass in this message in here. So I'm going to say message, right? And I'm going to save this, and I want to run this again. And if you can see how I'm passing in my dynamic messages, it's, if you know this handlebars, is very familiar to that, right? Two curly brackets, right? Either side of the dynamic variable, and then you pass in the name of that variable in there, right? Just in between those curly brackets. And that outputs the variable over there, right? Really straightforward, really easy. Let me run this again. Node server. It's generated that, and let's go in here and reload my PDF path. As you can see here, I have the dynamic message passed in. And this message is not coming in from the template, it's coming in from the server, right? I'm passing this message to the server. Fantastic. So that is really easy. But what if in a scenario we want to pass in a list of things, a list of people, say a list of users. Let's say a client tells us that he wants to see a PDF generated list of users. If I don't know why he would want that, but let's say he wants that, a PDF generated list of users every day to be sent to his email, so he can see how fast his business is growing, or you want to see how fast people are buying stuff, so you can have a PDF generated list of products that a user buys or whatever. You can determine those products beforehand, right? So let's say we have the products coming in from our database or whatever, or from the user themselves. And let's just save that in a variable, say products, right? And this should be in here, and let me call this, actually it's going to be an array of products. And let's say this array of products has an object inside, for example, right? That's a regular object, and it has a name of the product. Let's call this toilet paper, because that was really trending in March. And let's call the price of this $50, right? And let me just copy this a few times so we don't waste too much time on this particular part. Copy this down like two more times rather. This should be a bagel. I don't know how much a bagel costs. Pretty sure it's not $50. So I'm gonna call this 10. And so this is also overpriced as well. Just stick with it. Just stick with it. Okay. And the toilet paper, I'm gonna call this I don't know, a donut, right? And this should be, let's say, $1, right? Or $5 or whatever, right? So you have a list of products here, product name, price. Let's say we want to cycle this in a PDF. How do we do that, right? Well, it's easy. Just stick along with me and you'll figure it out. I'm going to pass in that product array in here as my dynamic data in my document argument here. So I'm going to pass in the products here, products. Or I can just remove this according to the gods of ES6, right? I can also pass in just one name here if the key and value pair are the same. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to move on to my template here. Since we don't have any message here, I'm just going to clear this. We don't have any dynamic variable called message. I'm going to clear that and I'm going to just say, well, list of products, right? List of products. And I'm going to have an unordered list of products, right? A UL list of products here. And inside of this UL, that's where I'm going to do the whole dynamic mix of things here, right? So I'm going to say, if I can figure it out correctly, I think it's, let me think about this. Okay, I'm going to have this first. It's going to be like handlebars, right? And I'm going to have two of this here, right? If you remember handlebars. Uh, two curly brackets to the left, two curly brackets to the right. And then if I'm going to cycle through an array, I need to use the each operator, right? And what's the name of the dynamic variable here? It's called products, right? Products, right? It must match the name of this variable being passed in here. It must match this variable name here, right? So for each product, and I'm going to end this by saying slash each, right? So I'm going to loop through the list of products in here, right, by passing in an li here. And for each product, I want to pass in a couple of data, including, as you can see in here, the name and the price. So to do that, I'm going to pass in a h3 tag in here, and I'm going to pass in a p tag. The h3 tag will contain the name, the p tag will contain the price. How do I pass in the name of this product using this schema of the PDF generator, right? The first thing that what you guess, the first thing I have to do is to have my double curly brackets left and right. Then to get a single object, I need to pass in the this keyword, believe it or not, the this keyword, and then to pass in the name of that, the keys in that object, I'll just do a dot notation and then pass in the name. And also similarly for the price, I'll do that same handlebars, double left, double left curly brackets, double right curly brackets, and I'll have my this dot price in here. And that should be all, really, right? That should be all. So let's run this code. Let's see if everything is going well. Node server. Let's see what happens. It's done. And now let's reload our page. You can see we have the list of products here. Toilet paper 50, bagel 10, donut 5. Right? Really cool. Also, you can also add styling to this. I'm not going to add too crazy stuff. I'm not going to add too much styling here, right? Because this is not a CSS course. I'm just going to add a little styling here and there, some colors to make everything look all well and good. So I'm going to add a style tag there. And I'm going to style the H1 to have a color of gold, right? Let's see how that looks. A color of gold. And then for the list, the LIs, I'm going to give it a list style, right, of, or a list style of none, right? And I'm going to give it a, let me think here. Let me give this a font size or a background. some really ugly colors, right? A background of don't forget your semicolon here, a background of black, right? And I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna run this again. You can really go crazy with this. Yeah, I'm just gonna show you a little, just this little styling here. You can really go crazy with the styling here, right? You can bring in tables and all that stuff in here. So node server, it's all done. And I'm going to reload this route now. As you can see here, we have my first PDF in yellow, the background in black, and then we have no list styles. So that's as far as I'm going to go with this particular tutorial. I think we've covered enough. We were able to generate a PDF. It's just really simple. There's nothing too much to this. So we will end it right here. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. Leave a comment on anything you want me to handle next. And then, well, till then, to my next video then. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Stay safe and have a nice one.